Welcome to Wizards of the Tower.
Roleplay.
Campaign Tales. Welcome to Wizards of the Tower.
Roleplay.
Campaign Tales. Last time we left off, the party had just reached the Standing Stone, the 6th of therein moon.
6th of Earnsman.
Right, and they saw that there was a big hole dug.
Kind of an excavation on the side.
Right. There were kind of two big mounds of dirt and snow.
Yep, rocks and things, and we saw that someone had been digging into the side of the mound. And of course, we know that a lot of these mounds have things underneath them, so we're intrigued by that. But as we come through the edge of the trees,
there's a big forest that's out.
Yeah, big trees all around.
And this is standing in a clearing.
As we come out of the trees to the mound, we're attacked.
So they get a surprise attack.
Yeah,
they didn't see what was up there, and these arrows come flying down, striking, surprising, and doing lots of damage.
A lot of damage because essentially we're caught flat-foot.
Right.
And they can shoot multi-shot, and we get peppered, and we're hurting.
Yep.
These assailants. We look and we try to avoid them, and we spread out and stuff like that.
They pull back into the forest to try and gain cover.
Yep.
In fact, Frostwolf says, that's the first thing he says. He says, retreat and find cover.
Retreat and find cover, which we try to do.
Not everybody does, though.
Well, we can't. We're caught so flat-footed, we can't move as fast as we'd like to.
Because the elves get their second attack.
Yeah. And it doesn't go well for us.
About that time, here comes a big ogre screaming down the hill with his club.
Yeah, and then, right at that time, we're ambushed from behind, from the trees, by two more elves.
Right. And
they're peppering us from behind.
Well, they're actually fighting melee.
Oh, they're fighting melee?
Yeah, they're actually fighting melee.
Okay. I thought they were shooting at us.
No, they were firing melee, but they came up, surprise attack from behind.
They did. They just popped up out of nowhere.
Came up behind your cleric and your rogue and whoever. I can't remember who else was back there.
Yeah, they start laying a big old chop sake on us, and it's not good.
Yeah, so they're surrounded.
Yeah,
they're getting beat up. They're surprised. It's a classic surprise at pincher movement.
Yeah,
encircling.
Yeah,
and even though it's only 5, there's the 2 up on top of the hill, 2 down below, and then the ogre charging down into the middle to kind of distract.
Yeah,
and keep them occupied there.
And so some of our party cannot get out of the way fast enough. Right. And one of them, of course, is Karnak, our dwarf.
Right. He actually could have, but he decides to turn and fire at the enemy coming in from behind instead of retreating further away. Now, he did release the bear from the sled, and he could have jumped behind the sled and gained cover or ran behind trees, but did not. He ended up, like I said, taking a few steps and firing arrows into the rear. Yeah. And it was a kind of a foolish thing to do because all of a sudden Karnak is getting jumped by this ogre and then getting attacked by arrows, and in one round Karnak takes over 40 points of damage.
Yeah. And because
it becomes minus 40 points of damage.
40, yeah, because he had taken damage before and was down near 0 and took another 40 points of arrow damage and ogre damage, which is the ogre, I think, is using a big hammer or club. Yeah. So it doesn't go well for Karnak. He's dead. He's dead.
Squished.
Yeah, we can't resurrect him. No. So we lose another party member. And, we talked before about how party members die. Sometimes they die just because they're not able to get out of the fight. Sometimes they die of carelessness, and it's easy to look back and say, well, if Karnak had done this would have worked better, and he would have got out of there.
Right.
But really, in this fight, it could have happened to anybody, and he just couldn't initiate a fighting retreat fast enough. And
instead of attacking, what probably should have happened is Karnak should have retreated fully into the woods.
Yeah, he should have fled.
Yeah, gotten into the trees or behind the sled and ducked and took full total cover. So he would have been like the elves up on the hill, which had cover behind the standing stones.
Yeah, they had partial cover back there. Kept coming out from behind the stones, firing, going back.
Yeah.
So, however, we were able to see them long enough to ascertain that they are snow elves.
Well, they're actually they're not snow elves. They're just elves.
Well, I like to think that they're snow elves because they're in the snow.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're sort of they're elf types. They're tall, very fair looking. And we wonder what in the world is going on. Why are we being attacked by elves?
Elves aren't normally in this land. They're actually enemies of the wildlanders.
Yeah, they're from way southwest in the garden down there, in the giant enchanted forest. Why are these elves way up here? Okay.
Yeah, because they're way up there. Now, elves in my world, there's you look at it like the Viking relationship of elves. Elves and Viking relationship are actually feared and evil.
Yeah, I mean, they're tricksters.
They're tricksters.
They do bad things. Right. They steal children, replace them with shape changers and changelings. And so elves are seen as not good. Right. I mean, and in this scenario, they're definitely not good.
Right. Now, in other parts of the world, elves are fine, but that's how the wildlanders see them. They're an enemy.
Yeah, they do.
So their rogue Berger steps in to protect their cleric Yrsa, who's getting jumped because she's in the back of the party, and Yrsa pulls away, retreats, and Berger hits one of the elves rather good and takes it out. Now the elf decides it wants to retreat at this point, and it decides it's going to try and get away, and it does an acrobatics check and fails the acrobatics check as it's doing its full on retreat, and Berger gets an attack on it and kills it. And the elf was actually starting to turn into a wolf as it acroed away or tried to get away, and Berger takes it out.
He was starting to try to it was starting to wild shape in a weird way into like this elf as it was kind of leaping away and jumping away to get away. He kills it in mid-transformation.
Right, and it turns back into the elf. Now, the other elf that's hitting him from behind, it's taking a little bit of damage, and it's seeing that the one is getting beat up, and it also retreats. But that one gets away. And that one turns into a wolf and runs off, and they go chasing after it what they can, and they notice up on the hill the two elves that are up on the hill firing arrows turn into a white raven and a black raven. Yeah. Now, in previous adventures, they have heard tales of a witch. Who was traveling with a gray elf or a gray wolf, a black wolf, a white raven, and a black raven.
Yeah, those were her animal companions, so to speak. And these are all legends that people have been telling us, and stories, and these campsite fireside stories that people tell about these witches, or this certain beautiful red-haired witch, who travels with these animals. And
she's actually white-haired.
White-haired?
Yeah, she's a white-haired witch.
But and the thing is we begin to put these stories together, and this seems to be like it's part of the story.
Yeah, here's this witch that's traveling with a white raven, a black raven, a gray wolf, and a black wolf, and lo and behold, they are attacked by 4 elves that turn into a white raven, a black wolf, and a gray wolf. Now they kill the gray wolf, who is actually the lesser of the elves. Yeah, he's the weakest of the 4 that were there, and he's actually. He's actually a rogue. Yeah. Now it's actually, I think that one was the male. The female was the one that got away.
Yeah, we killed the male.
Right, there were 2 males and 2 females. Yeah. In pairs. And they killed the male one. The female one gets away. And on the elf, they actually find some magical weapons.
Yeah, some really nice swords, and +2 sword, +2 leather armor. That's really high quality stuff.
Protections from the environment.
Ring of protection, and we also find a ring that we eventually identify as a ring of wild shape that allows it to change into a wolf. The problem is that we really can't figure out how to make it work.
They see these inscriptions of wolves on it.
Yeah, we just can't
imagine it like the One Ring, except for the on the outside edge are running wolves.
We can't figure out how to make it work. You have to try to make it work somehow, either with a word of command or something. And so even though we have the ring, we can't really use it.
Right.
Now, in this time, of course, we finally killed the ogre. And Karnak's body is laying there all smushed. And we asked her...
Sophie the bear is nuzzling, trying to wake
him up. And it's really sad because Sophie wants Karnak to wake up.
Can't do it.
He won't wake up, and Sophie just keeps looking at us like there's something wrong, and can't we fix, what's wrong, and we're kind of powerless to do that. And
as a DM, I actually got a tear in my eye during this episode because it was real sad.
It was real sad because we've had Sophie and Karnak through our entire adventure.
Yep.
So the ogre's killed, and we realized that the ogre was probably being used as labor for doing the excavation and digging the hole. And so we don't waste a whole lot of time on the ogre, but we do take Karnak's body up to the top of the standing stones up here.
There's actually a big table instead of this big stone here. There's a big
table in the center. And it's during that time that we release Sophie completely, and she runs off into the woods, becomes a wild bear again.
Gather up what wood they can.
And we gather up what wood we can. We build a pier. And so we take Karnak's personal effects, and we're going to, send them on to his family.
When they get a chance.
When we can, and we construct a funeral pyre, and we give him a funeral, and we burn him.
And then they eat all their food and all their drink just to celebrate.
Yeah, and we feast. That night we feast everything, and we feast Karnak, and we toast him, and we tell stories about him. And we have a fantastic send-off, a wake, and a send-off, but it's sad, too, because we've lost Karnak, our dwarf, and he never got to experience claustrophobia like he was supposed to experience.
The dwarf, when he touched the device and got claustrophobic, became a claustrophobic dwarf. And we always joked, and it's like, and I knew secretly, it's like, okay, they get to the tomb, and the tomb is here.
Yep.
Now, originally, just kind of iterate, when the party had originally headed south, they got to one standing stone, and I was hoping they would go south to this standing stone. Mm-hmm. And instead the party decided to sidetrack and go east to another standing stone. Well, time moves on. And had they come south, they would have still encountered the elves, they would have encountered the witch, and they would have encountered a bunch of orcs who were digging. So instead they went someplace else, and when they went off someplace else, this was still going on.
Okay.
So it was all in my plans. It's like, okay, since they didn't do that, what's going to happen now? Well, now the hole is dug, and the elves are sticking around because the elves had heard rumors from the witch that, hey, this party's coming. I want you here. I want you to ascertain who this group is. I've seen them. I've had a vision of them. I want you to harm them if you can. Don't get killed. Retreat. That's why the one elf was trying to retreat and got sliced and diced and killed before he can retreat.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So now they're probably upset, but anyway, 3 out of the 4 got away.
Well, that's a rare bit of pertinent information that we get from the DM. Now that's something we didn't know at the time, but now we know.
Yep.
All about the witch and the elves and the ogre, and there's supposed to be orcs. Now, we will encounter an orc situation later, and we're going to actually find somebody who is, has an orc interaction. So that part of the story does play into, the future
and
what
they find inside the tomb.
And what we find inside the tomb. So just keep in mind, that sometimes parties, you lose party members, and it can become really sad.
Yeah.
In this case, we lost 2. Karnak was killed, and then Sophie became a wild bear again. And ran off into the woods.
And their sled, so now they don't have anything to pull their sled.
No one will pull our sled.
I think that's why they decided to eat all their food and drink, because they couldn't, what little bit they could carry with them.
Yeah, when we have the sled for like our arrows and tents and stuff like that, but we don't have a lot of room now for carrying a bunch of food, so you just might as well have a big party and drink all our ale and and have a big party for Karnak and send him off in style. And of course, Birgit does the rites.
Bergen and Yrsa both do.
Yeah, they both do the rites for Morte.
Yeah, Morte, and then Yrsa always throws in too, because she is a follower of the god of journeys and travels.
Yeah.
That may you travel into the next realm or journey into the next realm, and so she gives that spiel. May Morte welcome you, and may Yrsa welcome you on your journey into the next realm in your next life. So
yeah, and now it just occurred to me that probably had to really grind on Frostulf. Here Karnak dies, and Karnak is able to make the journey, and that's something that Frostulf was not able to do.
Yeah,
twice.
Yeah,
and so he's got to be sitting there going, "Damn! Look at Karnak. He fought valiantly to the end. He died a warrior. You know, he'll be sung around campfires. Stories will be told about this battle, about him and the 4 elves and the ogres and the ogre, and there'll be other stories, and they'll, you know, the ogre will be 30 feet tall, and there'll be 8 elves. They all had magic bows, and, you know, it'll be exaggerated, and, you know, and he'll be feasted and toasted in every camp and campfire throughout the land. Karnak, you know, Karnak Stonebutt, or whatever his name was. I can't remember what his last name was. But, Silvertongue.
Yeah, Silvertongue.
Yeah,
he was a diplomat. He comes from a diplomat.
Diplomatic family. Yeah, Karnak Silvertongue. So he'll be feasted, you know, and toasted throughout the land. And poor Frostulf won't be, because he came back from the realm of death twice. It's got to weigh on him terribly.
Now, one thing I noticed in this adventure is when Karnak died, I could just see in every person at our table just the sadness and the disappointment, and it affected me as a DM.
Oh,
you know, I was weeping, and I could just see, you know, see it in everyone else that, you know, some of them were really emotional and sad, and
we were,
and just kind of like, wow, you know, man, this sucks. And
I mean, Karnak, you know, he'd been with us from the very beginning, and you know, he was a much valued member of our group, and we liked Karnak, and you know, and he was role played well, and to lose someone like that, it wasn't the same like when we lost the witch. We were like, yeah, witch, you know, we'll get another one or something, but to lose a primary member, that was not
been
good.
there from the start.
We've been there from the start. That was really harsh. He was really sad. And, you know, these things happen, especially when you're lower level. When you're lower level and you can't save yourself, and you don't have a cleric who can get there fast enough to do bursts and stuff, these kind of things happen.
Yep.
And you lose party members. And it's really, really sad.
Yeah. So with that, we're going to end this episode of Campaign Tales. So thanks for watching Wizards of the Tower.
Role play.
May all your adventures be epic.
And keep on rolling.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Thanks, folks.